we know some of you are listening to this, and we welcome you if you are not attending live, and welcome you to send questions to us or comments, or get one of those free discovery calls where you can talk to either Shannon Judge or myself. Today we're going to be, I don't know how to say this any better than just say blessed to have Shannon Judge lead us through today's discussion. And I'm just going to hand the baton over to you, Shannon, and let you introduce our topic today.
Sure. Thank you so much. Well, welcome everybody. It's so great to have you here, everyone who's here and everyone who's joining us on the recording. Lynn, I know you have an exercise, I believe, that you'd like to lead us through. So whenever you feel the right timing is for that, I'd love to invite you in. I made a couple slides to guide us through the conversation, but I really would love for this to be an interactive conversation because we can all relate to fear. We've all had instances in life, whether we're starting a new job, or we're in a new relationship, or the ground underneath us feels a little bit shaky, where we experience fear, and moving through that with some ease or some tools at least really is helpful. And career reinvention certainly is one of those experiences in life that can span years sometimes, certainly months, if not years, where fear pops up, sometimes unexpectedly, sometimes even when we think we've nailed it. So having some tools in your back pocket will help you move through this transition in life, which may happen more than once, as we know, with more grace and more ease and a little bit more calm. So these are just everyday type of skills that you can use whenever you feel panicked, whenever you feel overwhelmed, regardless of the topic. Regulating our nervous system, as the research has been showing more and more and more, is that when we are frazzled and feeling haywire, we're not as focused, we're not as effective in our lives, we're not as emotionally balanced in making sound decisions. So the more that we can calm down and get out of that state of fight, flight, and freeze, the more helpful it can be in life, and we're more productive for it, and we're happier, and we're calmer. Lynn, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I just put in the chat. I mean, most of you know that the topic today is the fear that Shannon just talked about because you saw the flyer, the invitation. But let's get into, should we just pause here and just find out what special brand of fear you experience when you're facing off with career reinvention? Because I have personally felt it every time I've reinvented, all 7 or 8 times. And as I work with many of you, and as Shannon and I work with our individual reinvention clients, don't you find that there's a special brand per person?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So please go to chat and tell us if there's a fear or more than one that keeps reoccurring. I know for me, the biggest fear, and it literally had me shaking at times, was, will I be able to earn a living when I do this new thing and cover the bills? And at the time when I was doing one of my bigger reinventions, I had 3 kids. I was a single parent, and they were teenagers, so their expenses were big. They weren't just this small, let's get a new pair of Levi's or a new pair of shoes or a new Barbie doll or something.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, Lisa. Will people take me seriously? That's interesting. Lisa, could you tell us more about why you might be afraid that people would not take you seriously? We would love to hear that. And Shannon, fear of failure, that your ideas are too far out there, they won't be able to do something I enjoy. Yeah. And I don't know, Shannon, when you came and knocked on the door at Soul Salt, were you worried about that? Tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, I guess I just wasn't sure what I was really going to find. And obviously when I was starting to go through the reinvention process, you and I hadn't talked. I just knew where I was didn't align with my core values. And that I needed to get out of there and make a change. But I wasn't really sure what that looked like. I'm sure, like most people, right? There's something pulling you to something bigger and better. And obviously there's the fear of, making your financial, needs, getting those met, and then really finding something that you enjoy to do. And I think the biggest thing for me was I hadn't identified my core values to even know what those things looked like. And so there's just all those questions at the beginning of trying, like, can I do it? Will I fail? can I make enough money? Like all the different things that everybody, I'm sure, experiences.
Yeah, and I'm going to just share something. Can I share what happened once we hired you?
Yes.
So, so Shannon was leaving, I would say, a toxic environment.
I would
And
agree.
when we formally hired Shannon, her former employer tried to sue us for hiring her.
Wow.
So immediately once we hired her, we went to my attorney, which we love and adore to this day. And we were able to get out of it with just paying for, and Shannon actually did this. I want to tell you this. This is the quality of Shannon D. Shannon paid for the attorney fees for our attorney to fight. She was like, you don't have to pay for that. I brought this with me, and I was so shocked. I was first shocked that we were getting served papers. And but of course, Shannon's a valuable asset. But then I was shocked that Shannon D wanted to pay for her own or pay for the legal fees, feeling like this was her own responsibility. So that was a traumatic beginning. So lots of fear, reasons to be afraid when you get served papers when you hire a new employee.
Well, and it was a soul salt beginning. Luckily, you and I had history for long before that, so we knew because we had worked at Franklin Covey together. But yes,
Right.
I did not want our soul salt beginnings to start off with that. So I had to have clean energy.
Well, we cleared it off, and we've handled many
Yes.
other problems since then. So,
Yes.
Lisa, did you want to give us some more detail about people?
Yeah, I'll try to explain what I mean. I feel like it's more like a credibility thing. Like I don't maybe believe that I have enough credibility for people to believe that I could lead them and do the things that I want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So would you say that falls under a bit of the imposter syndrome?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Anybody else that can relate to that? I see Jackie nodding her head. Yeah. Yeah.
Jackie actually put in a comment that Jackie, you actually sent it directly to me. So if you don't mind, I'll read it for you.
You read it.
Sure, sorry, Shannon.
So Jackie said, fear that I may not have the expertise I need to convince others I can help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so very similar to what Lisa's saying, and we've had that discussion, Lynn, that the imposter.
Yeah, that darn imposter. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
find it interesting that we're seeing that this is a complex issue, right? It's not just a simple linear piece of fear or overwhelm. It's complicated. Part of it's emotional, part of it is skill-based, part of it is experience-based, part of it is self-esteem, imposter syndrome, right? So it comes at us from all these different angles. And I think the discussion is really rich and lively, and it's I believe we all have something to contribute to this, and we all have our own tactics and skills that I am hoping today we can learn from each other. In my presentation today, I'm sure there will be a couple things that possibly you aren't familiar with, some things that resonate and feel true and that you want to explore and discover for yourself. Other things might not be a great fit, but I just wanted to take this time with Lynn today and present some tools that you can use that might be helpful, because especially when we're in that, Lynn, you mentioned earlier you were shaking at certain points, and we've all had that. Even recently I woke up and I was just sweaty and I was very couldn't sleep, so it affects us in all these different ways. And in those moments of, even if they're not full-blown crisis, but even in those moments where we're just not ourselves and we're having a fear response, to be able to calm down is going to help us make wiser decisions. And I want to point out that Career Reinvention, Lynn designed this whole universe, including the course and coaching and the Soul Salt book, to really be a support system. So there is built-in support in the process. And I think that is something that takes reinvention clients some practice to really understand. And it's so powerful. So you're not alone. You have resources, you have a lot of things available at your fingertips, and we'll point those out today because that's very important. So I'm going to share my screen and just go through a bit of, where am I? A couple of things that we can, again, I would love for this to be interactive, and anyone that would like to come off Zoom and speak, I invite you to. And if you'd like to add things to the chat, that would be fantastic. And if Lynn and Shannon, when I'm sharing, I may not be able to see.
Yeah, we can watch comments for you. Sure.
Excellent. Thank you. So as we said, we're talking about fear and not letting fear interrupt our career reinvention. So we just talked about some of the fears that we're all facing. Career reinvention can be scary, and we can also feel it in our bodies. Does anyone feel that? Does anyone want to comment? For me, I get the tension in my shoulders. Sometimes I don't breathe deeply and fully, and those effects, especially over a few months, start to add up. Does anyone else have an experience like that? Feeling it in your body or in your mind?
Yeah, tension in the gut, Lisa said.
Yeah. And it can be disruptive. It can affect our digestion, our sleep, lots of different systems and processes in our body.
Did we talk about that comment about the gut really quick?
Yes.
So what we know from multiple brain integration is the gut has core competencies, and one of those core competencies is personal identity, and it's also motivation. So if you're feeling it in your gut, you may feel like even your identity is being threatened, Lisa, which may correspond with what you were talking about earlier with the imposter syndrome. And Jackie said isolation. Yes, I think career reinvention, maybe you can agree with this, Shannon Judge, makes you feel like you're alone and not supported, because it's such an individual pathway. And even when a coach is by your side, sometimes you feel alone because you have to make some critical decisions. And hopefully our tools help you support to have confidence in those, but you can feel alone, right, Shannon Judge?
Absolutely. I think that's so common. And it's one of those things I feel we fear that no one else experiences that, but we all do. We're all in it. We're all kind of isolated and in it together. So
Right.
having conversations that are, transparent, I think is very important, because you're not alone. It's common. It's normal. It's actually to be expected. I read this quote the other day on Instagram. I'm going to read it to you all because there's more research coming out about the gut and how it's so related to our emotional state and depression and all kinds of things like that. So this is by Dr. Will Cole, who is a functional medicine practitioner and doctor. He says trying to regulate your nervous system with an unhealthy gut and imbalanced blood sugar is like trying to stay calm on a roller coaster with no seatbelt. You can try to breathe through it, telling yourself everything is fine, or you can put on the seatbelt, which I thought was very interesting. So kind of that sort of lends into that nutrition piece where when we heal our gut, that further helps us along this path of dealing with fear and anxiety as well. So this is an emotion wheel. So if you're ever asking yourself, you're in a state of fear and you can't really identify, you're always welcome to look, just Google emotion wheel on the internet, and you'll come up with some that are much more detailed than this one, but it can just sort of help you attach a feeling to a word and understand it a bit more fully. So I thought I'd put this here for you.
Yeah, well, they're doing that. Let me give you 2 other comments. Is that okay, Shannon?
Yes,
so
please.
Jackie added, another coach told me it's lonely at the top, and maybe Jackie, that's lonely at the top of that roller coaster just before, you come down. And then also Christiana said, I'll find other things to distract me versus tackling the tough thing.
Yeah.
And that needs to be handled. That's true. We get distracted and then that can make us even more afraid.
Certainly. And that procrastination piece, right? It's easier to clean out your closet sometimes than it is to spend 15 minutes doing this thing that we're terrified of.
Right.
So what really fuels the fear? What drives it? Certainly we know that the unknown is a like gasoline for fear. Assumptions that we make when we're looking towards a new career, a new future, a new job. We have, we're human. We have expectations. We have assumptions. Sometimes they're based on past experiences. It doesn't mean they're true, but in our bodies, we feel that they're true sometimes. We might be excited, but sometimes we also kind of lean into the past. When we leave behind the familiar piece of people, our friends at work, our work families, systems, processes, even the environment, all these things can be ungrounding and unsettling when we think about leaving them behind. So even if you're still at a job and you're thinking about the future, it can create some unsettling. We choose change over comfort when we lean into courage. So we look to make our lives better, do things that we're more passionate about, that we love, that we can make a better income, that better aligns with our purpose and our values. And that's stepping out of your comfort zone. And that really does take a lot of guts. So every single person here watching or present on the call, I want to applaud you, because that is a tremendous attribute to have. And it really does, it can lead to some discomfort for sure. So it's choosing the hard path. When we disrupt our normal patterns, our normal schedules, or even jump into the future in our minds and start thinking about that can definitely induce some fear. We might miss some things. We'll certainly miss the people that we adore, right? We might miss our boss. We might miss The people that we lead, we might miss our schedule, we might miss, the environment, the culture, all these things. We don't really always know exactly what we're stepping into when we move on to something new. And as we talked about a little bit, the physical responses in the body, sometimes we feel our heart rates skyrocket. We feel a little panicked, right? It can affect our sleep. Fear can give us headaches. It can affect our eating, our digestion, even our activity levels. If we're in a state of anxiety, you might be moving more than normal, or it might make you a bit sedentary. All these things have massive effects on our life and our health. And it can certainly lead to some mental unease and some anxiety, even some, a little bit of depression sometimes if it goes on for a long time. So talking about these things, having community and having allies and support is a huge piece to circumvent this. And that's the goal of the Career Reinvention program, in a lot of ways, and also coaching. When you have someone on your side, or an accountability partner, someone who understands that you can use as a sounding board, is critical. So does anyone have any ways that you deal with fear? Like, what are some of your tactics? Sometimes you might go for a run or a brisk walk, or maybe you call up a friend and get out of your head. How do you deal with fear? For me, writing is a way to do it. I just feel like it's a physical getting it out of my body if I just open my computer and just write for a bit. If anybody has any tactics, perhaps we can share together.
Yeah, so Alicia says the lack of support that comes from people you want it from, having to connect with new people. That's right, Alicia. Sometimes it's not our inner circle or our regular circle that we can get that reinvention support from. In fact, sometimes the research shows us that other people would rather we not change. And then Christiana says meditation and writing plus positive videos or podcasts. Those are all the really great things, Christiana. Try to breathe. Yeah, Jackie says take a walk. One of the things I do, and I think Alicia will agree with this, is really watch my nutrition, because I am less afraid and more balanced and resilient when I'm eating clean. I don't know, would you agree with that, Alicia? Do you think that affects your ability? Jackie's nodding. What do you think?
Yeah, most definitely. Because I was sitting here and I was listening when we were talking about the gut. It plays a huge role in what happens in our minds. And it is like the heart, kind of the center of where our emotions are. Not to get all biblical and everything, but there's a scripture and it talks about when Jesus was grieved, it talks about his gut, how he felt it really in his stomach. And so when we think about that, what we eat, to Lynn's point, it can either be good for the body or becomes toxic, and whatever goes there, it goes into our brains. And so, we find that eating certain things dulls our senses. I was thinking this morning about the fact that when you drink alcohol and you smoke weed and you do all those kinds of things, it dulls your senses and it impairs you at a psychological level. And so we really have to be careful in what we eat, and then how it'll affect how we think, and then it will affect our actions. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well said by a nutrition coach.
That's lovely.
Yes. And Jackie added the hydration piece, and Lisa said breathe and exercise. Yep. So we're getting some good ideas. Yeah.
Great ideas. Thank you for sharing. So we've talked a little bit about calming the nervous system and staying out of fight, flight, or freeze. Some people get into fight or flight, and then some people, I'm prone to this, just get into a state of inaction from the anxiety, which also isn't very productive. So a couple steps, things that we can do when we feel this start to bubble, whether it's over a couple weeks, a couple months, or if it's in the moment. So I think having these tools in the here and now to get out of it is critical. So get grounded every morning. I really am a whole heart believer in this. Even if you take 2 minutes in the morning, when you wake up in the morning, whether you lean into gratitude before your feet hit the floor out of bed, whether you spend 2 minutes breathing, whether you have a whole morning practice, it's up to you. But there's lots of research supporting this. And the way that we start our day is so empowering, or it can cause us to crumble. It's sort of like, sometimes I talk about, if you wake up in the morning and you're conscious and you're getting things done and you have a protein shake or you eat a really nutritious breakfast, the rest of your day is energetic. You have fuel to think with brain power, to be productive, to have a good mood. And if you wake up and you have a piece of pizza for breakfast, it's a very different experience throughout the day. You'll probably make poor food choices. You won't have the energy. You might feel lethargic. So the way that we start our mornings is so important. So that's a tool that you can do right off the bat. And how do we do that? Well, we can talk about some effective tools that I'll go through in the next couple of minutes. I wonder if anyone has heard of tapping.
Yes. Yes. Before you go there, let me just give you Alicia's comment.
Yes.
The comment is getting sleep, allowing herself to feel her emotions and not deny them. Some really good pointers there. So yeah, tell us about the tapping. It's such a good exercise.
It is. Well, I'm going to give a little demo in a second. So we'll come back a little bit to tapping, but tapping is basically use the acupressure points in the body to tap with your fingertips. And it really has a systematically calming effect, and it can bring you out of this state of fight, flight, or freeze. Somatic exercises we'll talk about in a second too. Anything involving the body, like sometimes there's a hand movement I can show you that's very effective. Something you can Google as well and find more ideas. Simple eye movements in rapid eye technology. If you just look straight ahead and you move your eyes back and forth, side to side, do that until you feel like you need to blink, and then blink, and then do it 2 more times. So a total of 3 times. That can really help. Breath. We'll talk about breath as well. Any kind of breath work exercises are huge. Move your body, as we talked about, whether that's getting out for a brisk walk or a run or doing some yoga, that can be huge. Writing and journaling, we touched on as well. That can be a nice output, and it can also help you make sense of things and kind of bring in the reason and the rational thought. Other things, and you're welcome to screenshot this. It'll certainly be in the recording that Shannon D sends out, but feel free to take a screenshot if you'd like to look some of these things up. But visualization, just a guided meditation, you can go to YouTube and you could type in guided meditation for stress or visualization for stress or for fear. You might get a lot of great results. Yoga Nidra is one that I really love. You can find a lot of free resources, including there's a wonderful app called Insight Timer. It provides a meditation timer, and it has lots of free courses and Yoga Nidra as well. And it's basically just a deep, deep relaxation where you might even fall asleep. But it doesn't matter if you fall asleep in Yoga Nidra. You basically just lay back, get really comfortable. You can use a blanket if you want, and you just listen to someone lead you through this exercise. Like I said, if you fall asleep, it's fine. It still reaches your subconscious, and Yoga Nidra usually takes about 20, maybe 30 minutes, and it's the equivalent of a 4-hour nap. It's really a great way to re-energize throughout your day if you need it. Guided meditation. In addition to Insight Timer, the Tapping Solution is a wonderful tapping app. This time of year, they often have specials where it's like $40 for the year, but even just their Instagram account has all these reels of people tapping for different topics, and you can follow along with them. So that's really helpful, and it's free. And then Headspace, I've not personally used, but I know a lot of people who love that app as well. Part of the reinvention process, the Career Reinvention course and coaching, is rooted in revealing your real identity. So that is kind of a built-in support process that helps keeping you moving forward, keeps you learning, and that you don't get stuck. And that can help circumvent fear as well. Also, remember your why. We all have a why. Like, why are we doing this? Why do we want more? Why do we want better? Why do we want something different? Why don't we just stay where we're at and deal with it? Go back to your why. What's the thing that drives you? What's your purpose? Is it your family? Is it what you want to contribute to the world? I mean, we all have gifts that we are itching to get out there in some capacity. So tap into what your reason for doing this is, and that can be a really good grounding way to get out of fear and into motivation. And as we discussed a little bit, get support. That's vital, whether it's a coach, a sounding board, an accountability partner, someone who really understands. And as we talked about a little bit ago, and Lynn mentioned, it's not always the people closest to us. And I feel like that was a little bit of a shocking thing for me in reinvention my first time, was that it's not everyone that we typically talk about our days with that even understands the process. And sometimes there's a little bit of people feeling threatened of us wanting more and stepping out of the role that they've always seen us in for some reason. It can cause some discomfort in others. And I think that's important to be aware of. So there are some even simple, like on the top left of this page, you can see this woman kind of doing a forward fold. That helps get you into a parasympathetic state. So if you just lean over, you can totally bend your knees and just even let your arms flop and just, they call it ragdoll, just kind of shake your body out. That will help a lot. And you can Google some yoga poses for fear, and they're very simple. And even lying on your back on the ground, like this woman on the carpet. She might be doing yoga nidra. She might just be lying there, just relaxing. If you're feeling like you need energy, keep your hands up like she is. If you're feeling like you really need to be rooted and grounded, put your palms down. That will help with that. Lean into your why. And let's talk a little bit. See this gentleman's hands. I'm going to show you. Can you see my hands right here?
Pull them up a little higher. Yeah.
Right here?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you're having a panic moment, take that piece of fear and identify it and rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. Like maybe you're really kind of freaking out and it's like an 8. Take it and put it with your right hand, put it into your left hand and hold it, okay? And then with that in that hand, take your other hand, you're going to count to 8 and move very slowly. This is a somatic exercise. So you're going to take your hand and go down, cover your knuckles, and slide over, and again, cover the knuckles and come back up. Can you see that okay?
Do it again.
Okay, so we're gonna go like this 8 times. Slide down, come back, just cover your knuckles each time. And when you're done with that 8, go to the other hand. Down over the knuckles, slide down, again over the knuckles, come back. And do this 8 times. And then take stock and say, what's that number now? Is it still an 8? Maybe it's a 4. If it's still active and it still feels upsetting, do it again and then see what it goes down to. And it will go down to, usually it will go down to a 0 or a 1. So that will bring you out of this, fearful, panicked state when you're saying, I just resigned from my job and I don't know what I'm going to do, or I'm really unhappy and I feel like there's no way out and I know there's something else for me, but I don't know what it is yet. If you're in any kind of a panic state, that is one that can really bring you out of it within a minute or two. Another tactic is breathing. There are so many different types of breath work. One is box breath, which I believe was actually developed by Navy SEALs when they were going into very high stress situations. You can look that up on YouTube, and there are some great demonstrations. You just follow the box and breathe with it. And another really important breath is the 4-7-8 breath. So basically, if your exhale is longer than your inhale, it will bring you out of fight or flight, and it brings you into a parasympathetic nervous system state. So why don't we do this together for a second? We're going to inhale for 4. We're going to hold our breath for a count of 7, and then we'll exhale for a count of 8. So just do this for a minute with me. So take an inhale and count to 4. Now hold that breath for 7. And now exhale for a count of 8. And just do a couple rounds of that if you're feeling stressed out, and it will make a really big difference. So again, just a few tactics to help you when you're in that state of, feeling in crisis mode or feeling like you don't know what to do or where to turn.
Can I mention something about that technique, Shannon?
Yes.
So understanding what's happening in our physiology may be really useful so you can trust this breathing, the 4-7-8. Is that when we breathe in, when we inhale, doesn't matter if it's through our nasal passage or our mouth or both, we capture the ambient air that's around us in the little air sacs inside of our lungs. So the air is inside our body, but it's not given to our body yet. It's in the holding tank called the lung. And when we exhale, that's when the CO2 transfer occurs, meaning that that's when that good oxygen you just brought into your body gets released into your bloodstream and taken to your body, and the CO2 gets expelled. And so when you really want to rejuvenate, trust the exhale, because that's when the good is getting pushed to the body, and the thing that that's wasteful, that needs to be exhaled, is expelled from the body. So trust the longer exhale. It's doing its job.
That's fascinating. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lynn. That's awesome. So we talked about tapping and how we tap on the acupuncture points in the body. And basically, it's so simple. You were going to create a phrase, or you can look up a phrase online or look at the Tapping Solution Instagram account or their social media. Even their website has a lot of free tutorials. We're going to come up with a phrase that says, even though I'm feeling fearful, I'm feeling stressed, then you talk about how you want to feel, basically. So I made a really simple one. You can even talk yourself through a whole dialogue about fear and how you're going to feel afterwards. Or you can just take a phrase and tap on the points. So the first point is here. Maybe should I not share my screen so you can see me?
Yeah, let's see you.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to tap here and repeat, and then we'll tap here. And we'll do this. I'm just doing a quick little right under the eyes, under the nose, under the chin, the collarbones, which can be hard to find. So usually it's sensitive. So hunt around until it feels a little tender. Under the arms, on the sides of your body, on the sides of your hands, and then kind of like right between the knuckles of the ring finger and the pinky. And then the other side. So we're going to say a phrase. So start tapping. Oh, and then we'll do the top of the head at the end. So start on your eyebrows. Even though I'm feeling fear and anxiety due to the unknown, I trust myself and am grounded and calm. Now go to your temples. Even though I'm feeling fear and anxiety due to the unknown, I trust myself and am grounded and calm. I'll go under your eyes on that bone. Even though I'm feeling fear and anxiety due to the unknown, I trust myself and am grounded and calm. Under the nose. Even though I'm feeling fear and anxiety due to the unknown, I trust myself and am grounded and calm. On the chin. Even though I'm feeling fear and anxiety due to the unknown, I trust myself and am grounded and calm. Collarbones. Even though I'm feeling fear and anxiety due to the unknown, I trust myself and am grounded and calm. On the sides of under the arms. Even though I'm feeling fear and anxiety due to the unknown, I trust myself and am grounded and calm. Sides of the hands. Even though I'm feeling fear and anxiety due to the unknown, I trust myself and am grounded and calm. This point between the knuckles of the ring finger and the pinky. Even though I'm feeling fear and anxiety due to the unknown, I trust myself and am grounded and calm. Other side. Even though I'm feeling fear and anxiety due to the unknown, I trust myself and am grounded and calm. Top of the head. Even though I'm feeling fear and anxiety due to the unknown, I trust myself and am grounded and calm. So that's a simple tapping exercise, and you can find guided ones online in the Tapping Solution, as I mentioned, which is wonderful. And that will really calm you down as well and can anchor in some positive stuff, about being capable, about, these voices in our minds that can be stressful. So let me run back. And if you want a screenshot, where are we? Here we go. If you would like to screenshot, I'll get you a bigger version. Feel free to do so. And I took this right from the Tapping Solution website. So really the key in the Career Reinvention program that Lynn developed and the course is to keep moving forward. You want to lean into your wisdom, you want to be strategic and really have a plan. So when you move forward and keep your trajectory in mind, that can really help with getting stuck and feeling fearful. So if you're in fear, think of something new that you can learn, lean into your real identity, seek some support and some help. And I like this quote by St. Francis of Assisi: start by doing what's necessary, then what's possible, and suddenly you're doing the impossible. I think we've all had moments where we see that's true. Structure and direction in the Soul Salt Reinvention course and with coaching. And again, you are not alone. It's possible to find this little diagram in the center. You've got your purpose and you've got what you love to do. You've got your strengths. You start to see what you can be paid for, what the world needs. And it kind of all leads into passion and mission and profession and vocation. And this is possible for every single person here. The Soul Salt book is a fantastic resource that will guide you through a lot of these principles and be your best friend. And then Reinvention, the course is on the website. And then we've got coaching, which is always available to you. And as Lynn and Shannon have said, you're welcome to call and contact Shannon D through email to receive a free discovery call. It can help you know if coaching is a good fit for you and what your options might be.
Nice.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well done, Shannon Judge. This is right up your alley.
I love it.
How do we deal with fear? And I'll share one really quickly. This is one that I have used, and Alicia kind of knows what this environment's like because we had a conversation at a national tournament in fencing. And so if I'm feeling a little fearful about the fight that's just about to come up, the person I'm going to be fencing, I'll do this very quick thing, and that you can write it down, or you can do it right now, which is look around the room and see if you can find 5 colors. So just looking where the environment is, see if you can find 5 colors. And then once you have the 5 colors, see if you can find 4 shapes, 4 different shapes. See if you can find 3 different textures. Two things that were made by humans. And one thing that reminds you of an animal or is the depiction of an animal. So that's a very quick one you can just put in your pocket. So hopefully
Love that.
we've given you a lot of tools to deal with the fear. Shannon, what else do you want to share today?
I want to reiterate that it's so normal and it's common. You're not alone. Everybody experiences this, and I believe it's a sign of progress and a bright future. So keep going. Don't give up.
Yeah, because a lot of people have actually not even gotten as far as you are. They could sense the fear and they shut down, or they went a different direction, or they said, no, I'm just going to fight it out, or I'm going to just stick it out. And I'm just going to maybe sometimes wilt on the vine here. And you guys have all taken a stand for yourself and put the foot out there. And some of you are further down the path than others. You are dealing with the fear. You're seeing the fear. It's in your face. It's inconvenient and it's uncomfortable. And you know it by its name. So you're already in the game. You're already further along. Would you agree with that, Shannon?
Absolutely, positively. Yes. And we know the results of, when we meet people or know people who have chosen to stay stuck, it eats at you, right? It creates resentment, it creates sadness. So it's a very brave choice that you're making to explore what's next.
Yeah. And I think the most drastic example I have in my life is not a happy example. It happened just before the pandemic. And a cousin who was my exact age, he was just born 3 months older than I, and we were best friends, and he was like my brother. He passed away, had a heart problem and a gut problem because he had a reinvention opportunity and he could never step into it, never. And he passed away at age, I believe it was 58. Wow. So very, very young.
Very
so
sad.
Yeah, there are harsh consequences for not following the path that you guys are following.
So true.
Okay, any other questions or thoughts or insights anyone would like to share today? We're so glad you joined us, and we hope we can be supportive of you. Alicia, go ahead.
There were just two things that came to mind as we were talking. And one of them I'll say is that we think that because it's our passion and what we want to do is going to be easy. And then once it's not easy, then all of a sudden it's like, oh man, what the devil? It's like it's harder than I thought it was going to be. This is not what I was expecting. And so just being able to do the hard things and go ahead and do the hard things. And I think that it's been ingrained in us through media or our parents and friends and everybody that we shouldn't be afraid. And that's another thing is that, you know, to be afraid is normal. It's what you do once you're afraid, you know, stay stuck or you move forward, or if you're stuck for a while and then you move forward. And that was something else that came to me. So, and I laughed when you said something about cleaning the closet rather than doing the assignment. Yes, sometimes it is. Or, you know, you decide I'll do this one thing and it's really quick and I'll be able to get to the next thing. And then when you look up, the time has actually run out in your day, not in life, but in the day. And so really just staying the course and facing the thing that's hard and doing it is one of the things that I thought about and I know I fight with. So I just wanted to share that.
I'm glad you did, Alicia, and I'm actually going to share really quickly to illustrate what you're saying, because it is a phenomenon we call the dip. So you get this great idea and you decide you're going to reinvent and go in this direction. You find your North Star and you start to climb toward it, and then you hit the dark night of the soul, where you actually hit the work it takes. And it feels like you're going down into a pit, but really what you're doing is you have a dip of new behavior. And if you will stick with it, you will rise higher. This is just the natural bell curve. And I think that's what you're hitting on, Alicia, is you follow that star, you follow that thing, and as soon as you start doing the work, you hit the dark night of the soul, where the tasks and the doubt and all the fear comes in and more things to do. And you just have to remind yourself, no, you're just headed into the dip. If you had just stayed on that pinnacle, you would never get anywhere. But because you stepped off and you started to do the work, you do have to first experience a dip. And I think that's one reason why you may have used the roller coaster metaphor, Shannon Judge, when we first started. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Alicia, I'm glad you brought that up, because you are in that reinvention cycle. And that's a reality that I'm so glad our audience got to hear from your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. We're so grateful you're here. We hope that whatever holidays, if you're celebrating any holidays during this season, that you enjoy them, and that, you know, we are here. We're an anchor. We'll be back in January 2024 and do this webinar with you if you so decide to join us. And thanks again for your presence, your comments. And Shannon Judge, thank you for your preparation. Again, this is right up your alley. And if anybody has questions that you want to explore further with Shannon Judge, let us know. Shannon D can always get you connected to Shannon Judge.
Thank you all so much. Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Take care.